That means we are back with Geek Corner, part of the Coach Steve show. Logan is here because Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania has now hit theaters. Logan, we're kicking off Phase 5. Logan, how are you?
I am ready to head to the quantum realm, Steve. Let's do it.
You did get your bumper sticker, right? We survived.
Yes, I did survive the quantum realm. I have purchased my bumper sticker. I can put that on my car. We both survived. We went out one end and we came in one end and came out the other, and we have survived the quantum realm. So can't say the same about every character in the movie, but you and I survived the quantum realm.
Yeah, we fought Kang and lived to tell about it. We're okay. We're fine. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, now we're here in Phase 5. This kicked off this year with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. This is a spoiler review, of course, because people have now plenty of time to go see it. This was the earliest I ever saw a movie. It was at 4:30 in the afternoon. I got to go see it that early.
Wow.
Yes.
I was a little later than normal. I didn't get to the theater till about 6:30. So
yeah, basketball was over. I had bought the ticket back in January, and I said, I know this day there's no basketball. The guy tried to make me not see it. We were supposed to get ice and snow, and it all started, and I was like, oh, maybe I can't go see it. But I braved the weather and went to go see it anyway.
And how do you feel about your decision to go see it at 4:30?
I felt good. I felt like I had all this power right afterwards. Like, I know what happens. Nobody else really knows what happened.
That's a good point.
And there was only 10 of us. There was only like 10 of us in this. It's a weird theater. It's called Hollywood Palms. Has like a waterfall in it. It's like old school. You walked in and it's like old school Wizard of Oz stuff's put up. Old school Jurassic Parks is put up. You can dine and eat in there.
Is that your usual theater of choice?
I always went to AMC, and then Wakanda Forever came out, and I was like, I'm going to try this Hollywood Palms out. It's right down the street. It's closer. And
I'm looking it up now. It looks fun. This is a cool vibe for a theater.
Yeah, it has the reclining chairs. They're very comfy. Has an old school vibe in it, and like the previews show old school movies leading up to it, like clips and stuff. It's it's different than AMC.
I wonder how far of a drive it is for me to get to you. We should go to a movie together.
We should.
I would definitely drive over to go to the Hollywood Palms Theater. Let's see. What is the drive time? 2 hours and 9 minutes. I've done crazier things, Steve. I think we should. I think you and I should go to a movie together. Maybe Guardians.
I was getting ready to say that's the next one, right?
Maybe Guardians. Just going to throw that out there. Comes out in May. Say, maybe.
Baseball. Maybe. I'll be available. Baseball will probably be over. I'll be.
Okay. Well, we'll talk. I'll have your people call my people. I would love to go to a movie at the Hollywood Palms Theater. That just looks like a whole heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's just a different vibe. Oh, I saw Black Adam there. That's what it was. I went and saw it there.
Bad movie. Okay.
But this is not a DC world. We do not have the time to discuss my hatred of James Gunn a little bit.
Can't be speaking negatively about James Gunn. We're talking about going to see his movie in May.
Oh, that's true. Never mind. The DC James Gunn. Marvel's fine. The Marvel James Gunn is perfect.
We'll leave the DC conversations for a different pod. I don't have a lot of thoughts on those yet. When the DC news came out, I was in an airport trying to get home from the island of St. Lucia. And it was a very stressful day for me. So the DC announcement was very far down my list of priorities, somewhere behind getting patted down at the airport and making sure that I connected to my flight in Charlotte. So the whole DC thing kind of skipped past me, but we can't speak too negatively about our good pal, Mr. Gunn, because I'm hoping, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I'm hoping that James Gunn gives us a good movie, because I'm a little concerned about some things. Not to get too far ahead, but I'm very hopeful that James Gunn can revive me, because I might need to be a little revived. All right, let's go. We got things.
We got things.
I've already said too much. I've already given away some of my thoughts on this movie. I was hoping to not give you anything before we started this. Well, but now here we are. I've already said too much.
I have one important question. How do you feel knowing that Kevin Feige listened to you on the show because he came out and said we have too much coming out and we have to cut some of it back?
Yeah, I think Feige was definitely listening to me. Feige and the Disney executives, because I do believe I also said on this show, I think it was on the show. I know I've said it in my personal life, but I also said that Disney didn't have anything big film release on their Q4 schedule because they have no Avatar movie, no Star Wars movie, and there was no Marvel movie. So not only has Kevin Feige listened to the people, aka Logan Lee, about maybe slimming down the amount of content we're getting, but they also seem to listen to me because they moved the Marvels back into Q4. So, Kevin, welcome to the pod. Glad to have you. Hope you're a longtime listener. Feel free to chime in at any point if you have any thoughts. Shoot me a DM. I would love to give you more of my thoughts, and I have other people that would also love to give you some thoughts. So, yeah, I mean, listen, we've talked about this a lot on this show. It was content overload. The emergence of Disney Plus during the pandemic led to Disney needing content for their streaming service.
Yep.
And their only real way to do that and to bring in people in mass was a lot of Star Wars and Marvel content. These are the properties that they had paid millions and billions of dollars for. Don't get me wrong, I love Disney animated films, but the Olaf spin-off mini shows were not bringing in people by the millions to your streaming service. It was Marvel that was going to do that. And by doing that, and Disney needing to put new content on there every 3 months, it bogged everything down. And Phase 4 has been ridiculed every side of Mississippi, and I don't want to sit here and ridicule it anymore. And it wasn't so much that Phase 4 was bad, but Phase 4 just had so much stuff that the bad outweighed the good.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that they have heard, they have seen, and they will be adjusting Phase 5 and Phase 6 so that we don't do that again. There were some good things about Phase 4. We've already talked about it before. Spider-Man No Way Home was an excellent film. I love Shang-Chi. I love WandaVision. I really enjoyed Black Panther. There was some Loki I really enjoyed. But as I said, the bad really outweighed the good. And here we are in Phase 5, officially starting Phase 5 with Ant-Man Quantumania. I don't know if we started out on a great foot or not. But we'll see if they really do back down the quantity in favor of quality, which I hope that they do.
Yeah, because the report came out and said that this year, right after they released that the Marvels would be out, it's Guardians, Loki, Secret Invasion, not in this order, those, and then Marvels. Like, there's nothing else.
No,
that's supposed to be.
Well, yeah, it was supposed to be like 3 or 4 TV shows and 3 movies. And we don't have a single release date for any of the TV shows. We were told Secret Invasion, I think, was supposed to be next. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
We still don't know when that's supposed to be coming out. So I don't know. We will just have to see what happens here because it could be a mess.
It could, but we've made it to Phase 5. Ant-Man Quantumania is out. Now we'll get into some spoilers. I have a feeling where Logan's headed. It's making me rethink my spoiler review because I think we all love Paul Rudd, and I think I allowed that to come into play of like, I love Paul Rudd.
Steve, you are welcome to have your own opinion, and I am welcome to have my own opinion. I am not here to tell you that any opinion is right or any opinion is wrong. But there's a stark difference between the 54% on Rotten Tomato critics or whatever it is now and the 84% for the audience. everybody's going to fall somewhere in between. Some are going to be even higher than that. Some are going to be even lower than that. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. So do not rethink your opinion. I am here to listen to your opinion and to bounce our thoughts off each other. This is a thought exercise. We are here to head back to the quantum realm and to really decide, was it mania? Was it mania? That's my question.
Can I compare it to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You can answer this two different ways. Was it mania in the sci-fi part of it being strange?
Was it mania just like was Doctor Strange Madness? That's a great point, Steve. I point to you. I'm sorry that I reacted negatively. Yes, that is a great point. Quantumania and Multiverse of Madness. Was it mania? Was it madness? No. None of it was. None of it was. But go on. I want to hear your thoughts before I get into mine.
Well, like I said, let me start off by saying if I reference Doctor Strange, it's because I honestly do think there are some similarities. Now, I don't know about you. I didn't go into this movie with this big elaborate thing. Like Doctor Strange, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time because of like, when is this? What is this? What is this? This movie was an Ant-Man movie, so I went into it saying this is an Ant-Man movie. But when we just went through the quantum realm with time travel and Endgame, you're expecting, oh, there's Kang. They're going to be moving around. This is going to be happening. And it wasn't. Same thing with Multiverse of Madness. We were expecting much more multiverse stuff. Yes, they traveled a little bit, but it wasn't anything huge. So no, it wasn't. Sci-fi look of it, the strangeness of it, yes. Like, I thought it looked good. I thought all of that was fine. But the actual Quantumania, like, was it crazy? No. Not at all. None of it was overwhelmingly crazy. It starts off weird. Starts off a little bit slow, and then it just go the whole time. And it's just like, let's just dive into this and go. And Marvel, that's been a thing of Phase 4 is we don't need 4-hour movies, but it just seems like things are crammed in there, and they're just going through it as fast as they can. Yes, sir.
I have a question.
I don't have an answer, probably.
Just came up with this on the fly. But hear me out. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. M-O-M. That was a movie about a mother. I'm sorry, Steve. I know you are the biggest Benedict Cumberbatch and Stephen Strange fan there is. But that was a movie about Wanda Maximoff being a mother. Multiverse of Madness. M-O-M. That was the marketing team finding a way to get Mom in the title. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania was a way to get Ant-Man and Quantumania. Because there is an ant and there's a man, and they even showed you in the end. They did the thing. I don't know. I'm just pulling this out of my ass on the fly. I'm saying that maybe there was something to that. I don't know. That's all I got.
I mean, that's true. That is a fair.
Maybe they're just trying to be clever with how they name their movies. Because you're right. I don't think that movie had madness, and I really don't think this movie had mania. So
no.
Whatever.
It felt like a Star Wars movie.
Yes. I've heard that comparison quite a bit, and I agree. The characters, the side characters, were very Star Wars-esque. We're talking spaceships. It very much felt like a Star Wars movie. I agree with that.
Like the scene where they go talk to Bill Murray. Yep. That's like Star Wars and A New Hope when they're walking in.
Exactly.
These strange characters that they don't understand. The fight scenes with these laser guns. It felt like a Star Wars-esque type of vibe. Now, did I hate this movie? No. But they need to work. Their titles are drawing people in, and their titles aren't living up to what it is. Like Captain America Civil War, that lived up to it because they literally had a civil war between them.
Yep.
They could have just, I don't even know, called Ant-Man 3. I really don't care. You could have just said Ant-Man 3 and we would have been fine. or something. But when you title these movies this way, they don't live up to their titles. Spider-Man No Way Home, perfect, because at the end there was literally no way for him to go back to what was what. So those titles work perfectly. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, just calling it 3, Volume 3, perfect. It's going to live up to its thing. They need to stop titling these movies and then be us all being disappointed, because there was plot holes in this movie for sure. I even thought about this. I love Paul Rudd. I think we all do. Nobody's going to sit there and say Paul Rudd this. Was Ant-Man the right character for Kang to go against? Because you have the serious guy in Kang, and then you have Scott Lang.
No. The answer is no. No. I don't think so.
That was one of my thoughts when they got together on screen. There was that serious moment. I'm like, okay, but then as it went on, I'm like, this doesn't feel right. I love Scott Lang. I think he's a good character. Paul Rudd fits it perfectly, blah, 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 blah. But that was not the right character. I understand why, because he was in the quantum realm, that all that, coincides with each other. But I don't think he was the right character to go against Kang right when we first. Like, I'd almost be okay if Kang showed up in Loki season 2, which he's going to. Spoilers. But, like, if that was the first time we saw him, I would have been fine with that if he came out in the TV show, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, it was. He came out and he was in Loki season 1, and that was the first time we saw him. But
Kang the Conqueror, like this new one, like the main villain.
No, I mean, I had a lot of issues with this movie. That was certainly one of them. I'll just lay it out now. I did not care for this movie. I have this movie very low on my rankings right now. Now that could change after a rewatch, or it might change after I see more of the movies in this phase and I see how it works with other things. So those things are always fluid. But my general reaction walking out of this movie was that I did not care for it. I really enjoyed the two other Ant-Man movies. The first Ant-Man movie is really one of my favorites, and it's not. It's because it's different. It knows what it is.
Right.
It is a self-contained, small stakes story that uses practical effects, that has its big fight scene at the end takes place in a child's bedroom. It has comic relief. It has a fantastic performance from Michael Pena, who is in both of the first two Ant-Man movies, doesn't even show up in this movie. This movie did not work for me. To go off what your point was, no, I don't know that Ant-Man was the right character or the right movie to introduce Kang. I thought Jonathan Majors was fantastic. Best part of the movie by a mile. And I cannot wait to see him do more in this universe. But I just have a problem with this being how we introduced him. I texted one of my friends who I talked to about this stuff a lot. He reads the comics. He's one of my only friends that really is familiar with the comics. I was like, is this the best way to introduce Ant-Man? He's like, no. Or to introduce Kang. No. I mean, I get it. The quantum realm thing, you still want to do another Ant-Man movie. Okay, whatever. It just did not work for me. When these trailers came out, my initial reaction to the trailers was, this just looks like it's going to be a giant CGI mess. And I was hoping that I was wrong. I was hoping that not all of the movie would take place in this giant CGI mess. And I was wrong. Other than the beginning 10 minutes and the closing 10 minutes, the entire runtime of this movie takes place in a giant CGI mess. And it screams movie that was shot during a pandemic. It was shot entirely on a soundstage with a blue screen behind them, with a small cast. I don't know. I didn't care for it. I love Jonathan Majors in this role, and I think he is going to be fantastic as Kang as many times as he's going to show up between now and Secret Wars. I'm here for it. I love Paul Rudd. I thought he was fine in this movie. We have, because of her maybe or may not because of her stance on some things, Evangeline Lilly has been
I thought of that.
casted aside.
Yep.
Even though her character was in the title of this movie, she was.
You forgot she was there.
She was just not there.
Yeah.
She was not there. The focus was more on Scott Lang and Cassie Lang and the father-daughter relationship, which I understand that. That along with the Kang stuff was really the focal point of the story. But Michelle Pfeiffer got a lot more attention in this movie. Michael Douglas and Evangeline Lilly were really kind of cast off here. They were really, towards the back of this. My other thing here, before we kind of get into all of it or whatever else you wanted to talk about, my other big nitpick is MODOK. Listen, I'm not a huge comic book guy. I don't know a lot about MODOK. I'm not here to critique MODOK. I'm not here to critique the decision to bring back Darren Cross as MODOK. Like that's a choice they made, and it's fine. However, if you need to show a flashback montage to reintroduce a character to your audience from a movie that was 6 years ago, when was the first Ant-Man?
A long time ago.
First Ant-Man was, I'm looking at it right now, 2015. So 8 years ago, still. Regardless, if you need a flashback montage to reintroduce a main character from a movie, you didn't do something right. And I thought as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh my God, this is like cringeworthy. I just didn't, none of the movie jived for me. And I know that's, you did not ask for my whole opinion on the movie, and I just gave it to you anyway. You were just simply asking about Paul Rudd and about Ant-Man and Jonathan Majors and all that stuff. But that's it. Those are my thoughts in the pod.
Is it worse than Thor Dark World?
No, it's not worse than Thor Dark World. No.
Okay, because I was torn. You look at movies differently than I do when I
I don't think it's that bad, but I didn't think it was great.
I thought it looked fine. Like I looked at like it's a CGI mess, but I was like, it looks fine.
I agree. I don't think it necessarily looked that bad. I didn't want it to be just all on a soundstage. Like,
right.
Give me something else here. Go somewhere else. Like it all took place in the quantum realm, which I don't know. It just didn't work for me.
I think we're slowly getting out of the pandemic filming, but like if you think about it, probably over half the movie was filmed in 2020, 2021.
Right. Well, and Wakanda Forever was the same thing.
Right.
I mean, I rewatched that movie a week or so ago when now it's on Disney Plus, and yeah, I mean, a lot of that movie was very obviously shot on a soundstage too. So like, it's not it's not just a this movie thing. I mean, sure, a lot of these movies are shot entirely on sound stages. That's not the point. The point is Ant-Man has been different. The first two Ant-Man movies were different. They felt different. They were heist movies, heist comedy movies. This just felt like a total heel turn for that franchise. And it did not work for me personally. For other people, it worked fine. And I'm happy for them. If you feel that way, I'm happy for you. It just, for me personally, it did not work.
It felt very clunky. It felt very like,
I agree.
Did they force Kang because they wanted it so bad? Part of the storyline of introducing Kang was very quick. It was just kind of like, oh, he crashed here. And like this very weird thing. And then, hey, go steal this orb thing. Like that whole part was just very weird. And then for Kang to be this promising guy at the beginning where he promises like, hey, I'll take you home. I won't destroy your world. Then for Scott Lang, just for some weird reason, he was like, oh, you're not getting your daughter back. Yeah. And it's done. It was very clunky. It was very weird.
We needed to introduce Kang the Conqueror into the MCU, and it cost us an Ant-Man movie to do it.
Yes.
That's essentially what happened. That's how we did it. That's what it cost to get him in the movie. Is we had to give up an Ant-Man movie in order to get this. Which, whatever. I just don't think it was a great way to start Phase 5.
No. You know, not necessarily meaning they had to have another No Way Home type of thing to set this up, But like again, hyped up with the name, hyped up with they come
Yeah.
out right away saying Kang's gonna be here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I had super high expectations about like ramifications for the MCU after this. Like going into this, I really think that my expectations for these things after Doctor Strange have really been lowered. I am not expecting for every Marvel movie to really impact the future of this
Mhm.
universe. But admittedly, there was something about this movie that like I was expecting it to. I mean, Kang is supposed to be the big bad. He's supposed to be the guy, you know? I'm not going to sit here and say that I was really expecting them to show up, but at some point we got to see the Fantastic Four. And I felt like there could be a connection here. Like, are we going to, there was no surprises in this movie.
No.
Maybe that was just because I follow this stuff on a regular basis. So like the only real surprise was that Darren Cross was MODOK. But like I knew that as somebody
Right.
that follows this stuff, like I was not surprised by that.
Right.
Most Marvel movies at least have something that I don't see coming. I did not know Michael B. Jordan was going to be in Wakanda Forever. I
Right.
did not know. Let me back up here. I don't remember if about all the Illuminati stuff. We didn't know any of that other than Charles Xavier was going to be. We had rumors about the Spider-Man thing, but we didn't know that was happening. We
Right.
didn't know about the end of the post credit of Thor. We didn't know that Brett Goldstein was going to be in there. We didn't know
Right.
that Harry Styles is going to show up at the end of Eternals. Like even if it's just the post credit, like they've always done something that surprises me.
Right.
There was nothing about this movie that surprised me. I guess the only real surprise was supposed to be Darren Cross's MODOK. Because like even Bill Murray was in the marketing. Like he was very clearly marketed in this movie. So that was the other thing too. And maybe that's just on me for like, oh, you have to always expect a big surprise. Like, why do you have to always like that's because that's what they've given us. Every single movie, something has happened where I've been surprised and I've been, oh, that's cool. Like this movie had none of that. Nothing that was like that. So that was just kind of another thing. I wasn't fully expecting like the Fantastic Four to show up or anything, but like there was literally nothing about this movie. I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. I didn't see that coming. None of it. So
I am kind of surprised. The only thing that I was surprised, not surprised about, is how they beat Kang, because I actually during the movie, I wondered that, at one point I did.
Hated it.
Well, that was my whole point of like, okay, Kang is supposed to be stronger, bigger than Thanos. So like now you're sending Scott Lang to try to defeat him. So during the movie, I actually thought this. I was like, how is this going to end? Like, how is this going to work? Do they just escape and leave him there? I was like, cool. That's probably going to happen. Does Scott Lang die and opens up the door for his daughter to be Ant-Man? Like there was that point, but I was like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. And then how it unfolded, I said, oh, really? That's what you're choosing for the biggest, baddest character that's supposed to be here?
Yeah.
Gets absorbed into the ball and quote unquote dies.
I hated everything about the ending of this movie. To go off your point, before we even got to that point, Kang was defeated. Granted, let me back up. I understand that this is an Ant-Man movie and that ants are supposed to be involved. So, like, I get that. But Kang the Conqueror has been teased to be our big bad for the next however many movies.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's an Avengers Kang Dynasty movie coming up a couple years from now. He is supposed to be the guy. And we took him down by a herd of giant ants and a fist fight.
Yep.
With Paul Rudd.
Mm-hmm.
With Scott Lang. Like, and then, yes, to go off of your point, we just put him in this ball. And then, yes, I thought there would be some sort of emotional ending with Scott or Hope not making it out. And I thought, okay, they're both going to stay in there. That's going to be an emotional send off. And yes, can move Cassie forward as the new Ant-Man. No, none of that happened. All of a sudden, the portal just opens back up again, and all of a sudden they're back in San Francisco. And the only thing we deal with at the end is that Scott has this crisis going on in his head that he's wondering, did he do the right thing? Like, it just did not work for me at all. I'm sorry. Like, I know I'm really super negative, and I know people are going to listen to this and watch this. They're like, oh my God, like, why do you hate this movie so much? It's not that I didn't hate the movie. Hate is a very strong word. I don't hate a lot of movies. It just didn't work. It just did not work for me. From beginning to end, there were very few parts about this movie that I really, really enjoyed. And the ending was I just did not like it. I'm sorry. Anybody out there that's offended by this, I'm sorry. But like, I just can't. I cannot.
Well, that's why when the end credit, I was wondering what an end credit scene would be. And a part of me was like, okay, Kang's not dead. It's going to show something because he's the villain and he's already dead. And we're in phase 5. Now they kind of shown how they could fix this because of the end credit scene. But I thought of that too. Like, and that's why I even wondered that before going into the movie. Like, you're introducing Kang. He's the bad guy, but you're showing him right now. And we're supposed to see him at the end of Avengers. This is super early to bring him in my mind, even though they kind of showed in the end credit scene of like how this could unfold. Yeah. Maybe there's another Kang the Conqueror out there that's different, and that's what's going to look like. I don't know. I did not like that part. I did kind of think in my mind as I'm watching it, they get trapped in there. Maybe this is why you brought this up before. Like, is Wong going to like start showing up and they start building this team? And I thought that'd be perfect. Wong comes in and they try to like have this plan to save Ant-Man, blah, 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 blah. Nope. I was drastically disappointed in like how this could work. Could they bring in the Fantastic Four because it's a quantum realm? They need a scientist. They need this. Is this a way to bring in, and they brought in nothing besides you thinking, because Scott Lang had that moment where he's like, wait a minute, something's going to happen to the world and, we're in trouble. And then the end credit scene, you see every single Kang brought in to the world, and they make that comment, the Avengers are now messing with the multiverse, which we still don't understand the multiverse at all, or this timeline. It's also sort of confusing of Kang going, well, I know what happens because we blah, 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 blah. And then they show it. And I'm like, are they ever going to address how He Who Remains is killed and now the timeline is like broken? Is that ever going to get brought up again? Maybe in Loki, I guess, but like
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not sure they know what they're doing. I don't think it's been super consistent, and I think they're figuring a lot of this out as they go. I'm sorry that I keep bringing up the fact that we just went through a global pandemic, but we just went through a global pandemic, and it really impacted the film industry, and it strongly impacted the MCU. Let's just get that out of the way now. If you are unaware of that, that's what happened. Mm-hmm. But we cannot keep using this as a crutch, as an excuse. We are now a full phase past Endgame, and nearly that entire phase, actually the entire phase, all of phase 4 took place past 2020. So like we just cannot keep using that as an excuse now that we're this far ahead. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they're doing. There's so much inconsistency. There's never been a clear answer. We keep teasing multiverse. Mm-hmm. We've started teasing multiverse as far back as Far From Home, which came out in July of 2019. We have referenced multiverse in Far From Home, Shang-Chi, Eternals, probably, No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, and now Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Plus Loki. I don't know if we referenced it in WandaVision, but there has to be some sort of tie to the multiverse with what's his nuts. So that's at least 7. But we still don't understand it. We still don't know what it is. We still don't know how it's going to work. we know we can time travel. We know we can go into this quantum realm thing, but that quantum realm that we saw is far different than the quantum realm we've seen in the past. So apparently there's new layers to this quantum realm. We're making things up as we go. I I don't know, man. I'm just
And it might make sense later on. I thought I was like, well, this movie make way more sense later on, but that even makes me mad because at that point it's gonna be 2025, and it's like, remember the Ant-Man and Quantumania and blah 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 blah, and but then the end credit scene, does Loki season 2 tie into this really really well? Who knows?
yeah.
But I am getting a little tired of like, well, watch this movie. 5 minutes of it will make a big impact for a movie, 6 movies from
Yeah.
now. And that's getting frustrating with this model that they're using to go through this.
Yeah.
And Kevin Feige was like, oh, yeah, we had a meeting to talk about how multiverse works. We already know what it's doing. And I'm like, okay, but then it shouldn't, in my opinion, it shouldn't take all these phases to figure this out.
No, it shouldn't. From what I understand, again, I'm not a comic book reader, but from what I understand from the movies I've seen and the things I've read and the things I've talked about with other people is that we are going towards one event, which is Secret Wars.
Yep.
And that involves a few different things. And I do believe that there is at least a path to those things. It involves the multiverse and it involves Doctor Doom and some sort of war over vibranium. I think that is some sort of connection of where we're going. Because if you look at what's ahead from a movie standpoint, I don't know how Guardians fits into this. Guardians is going to be its own thing. It's going to be a send off to those characters. Some of them may die. Some of them just may retire. We just may never see some of them again. Some of them might come back. I think Guardians will be its own thing.
Right.
I don't know exactly how the Marvels is tying into this, but I'm sure it is tying into something. But Captain America New World Order, I think, is tying into some sort of that and Thunderbolts, I think, are both going to tie into some sort of governmental war vibranium thing. And I think that's where Doctor Doom gets involved. I don't know about Blade. Who the hell knows if that movie's even going to come out? And then we get to Fantastic Four and the Avengers movies. And those are very clearly going to be leading up to Secret Wars. So I do think there is a path. And I do think the path to where we're going is somewhat clear, but as you've talked about, I still don't understand how it works. And I may never not. I don't think that we're really supposed to totally understand the quantum realm and incursions and multiverse. It's all made up nonsense anyway. Like we're sitting here like complaining about not understanding some fictional science, but like, I don't know. We keep teasing these things and we kind of get into them, but then we kind of not. And sometimes it's made up. Sometimes it's not. I don't know. It's just kind of a mess, I think.
Because then right after the movie comes out, you start seeing all over the place rumors of what's about to happen and changes. Like the Spider-Man, they're writing the 4th movie right now, and that's supposed to tie in. Jonathan Major's supposed to have a major role in Loki season 2, as reported today. Like he's gonna have, it's at a bigger presence than Quantumania. Like he will be a major point. What else was reported? I saw a report where Doctor Strange is not even going to be in Kang Dynasty, the Avengers one, because he's going to be out dealing with incursions, and then that's how he makes his way back to Secret Wars, and that's how they're going to deal with this, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, what in the hell are they doing over there? And they're fast tracking Doctor Strange 3, which me personally I love, but like you pointed out the last time, like how would that fit into this time of these movies? And I don't think it does.
I don't know. I don't know where it fits in. Unless they're just going to keep pushing things back. I don't understand. At some point they'll announce these things and it'll make more sense maybe, but yeah, I think they're just, I don't know how much they care about the consistency anymore. I think they're just cranking out content
Well,
for the
how about
studio and for the streaming service.
and looking at this right now, what about Echo? That's a TV show that is filmed.
Supposed
It's
to, but I don't know I don't know when we're going to see that. Um, Secret Invasion and Loki are the only things that are at this point even listed to come out this year. What if they count What If, but like I don't count What If as a part of this. Like it's adjacent,
no, yeah.
like it's similar, but like I don't count What If as a part of this universe. Ironheart again, I think was supposed to come out in 2023, but I don't think that's going to happen. Or Echo, or Agatha, and Daredevil's going to be next year for sure. I don't know. I think that they are really having a identity crisis. I think that they have seen and heard people's thoughts and complaints about how Phase 4 went, and I think they are adjusting on the fly. We talked about it at the top of the show. They've already moved one movie back. I would not be shocked if we don't get more than 2 MCU proper TV shows. I think you'll get Secret Invasion, Loki, and What If. And as I said, I don't really count What If to be MCU proper. I think that's intentional. I think they're really trying to do that because I think they know that it's hard. It is so hard for people to catch up with this stuff. And when you put out movies like what we just got, where yes, it's going to make a lot of money. All of these movies make a lot of money. It made $120 million on the opening weekend alone. But those critics' ratings will not help this movie. Word of mouth is not going to do this movie any favors. And if they continue to do this, they're just going down a bad path, man. And I really hope that Guardians is significantly better than this, because if it's not, I don't have a lot of faith in the Marvels. I just don't. So it could be a really rough year for Disney because they don't have anything else. They have the Indiana Jones movie, which
I don't have high hopes for that.
I don't have high hopes. I know it'll make money because it's Indiana Jones, but they don't have an Avatar movie coming out. They don't have a Star Wars movie coming out. Star Wars is in a bigger mess than Marvel is. So I don't even know how we got onto this topic. We'll talk about one movie in specific, but
it's frustrating because like we're so used to seeing movies push forward, and I'm okay with a standalone like this. That's what Guardians might be. Guardians might be that standalone, like this is wrapping up their storyline, and it has nothing to do with multiverse. Probably has nothing to do with
that's how Thor was. Thor wasn't really connected, and that's okay. Like they don't all need to be like that. But when you finally get one that is, and this is what you give us,
right?
Like that's the problem. That's the problem I have.
And I think
it's supposed to be the kickoff to Phase 5, the big introduction of Kang the Conqueror, your big bad.
It was underwhelming.
It was an underwhelming dud. Like I don't mean that it was underwhelming because I went into it with such high expectations, because I just talked about that. I didn't. It just nothing about this movie worked.
Like if you think about to Infinity War, when we first see Thanos, like we've seen Thanos a couple times just for a quick whatever.
They were just little teases.
Right. But when you saw him in Infinity War, that was an introduction. Like that was a big time.
Infinity War was a Thanos movie.
Yes.
Just like Kang Dynasty is going to be a Kang movie.
Yes.
I mean, there are going to be Avengers in that movie, but did you see the number of different Kangs that were in that stinger? Like that is going to be a Jonathan Majors movie with special appearances by a handful of superheroes. But that is going to be a him movie. Like it should just be, I mean, he should be at the top of the credits on that. Like that's going to be all him. And then he probably won't even be in Secret Wars. Well, he might be, but
because that was the next thing I jumped in to look and see where else is he going to come in. Well, obviously we'll see him in Loki, but then after that, what other movie do you see him in? We don't know. And
then Kang, I don't know. I mean, he could pop up in something else from time to time, but I wouldn't expect it. It might be like a stinger or something, but I don't really know. He doesn't really fit into any of these other movies.
No,
just based on what we know about them. Because I've already mentioned Doctor Doom, I think at some point he has to be introduced because he's a heavy part of Secret Wars. And if the Fantastic Four are coming, like he's got to also be in this somehow. So I don't know if they can. I don't know. I don't know other than Loki, and if they do like a Loki season 3 or something between now and Kang Dynasty, I don't really know where he shows up again.
I also have a feeling they're going to start. I don't know if they will go this far and cancel stuff, but they could. They could easily say we're not doing this.
I don't think they're going to cancel any of these movies because I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now, and they don't have that many movies on the docket. I mean, we talked about the 3 this year. Next year, it's Captain America, which they've already started production on. Thunderbolts, which is definitely going to happen. Blade is the one that I'm not sure about.
Right.
I don't. Somebody else, my friend Ben, who I mentioned earlier, who I was texting about this, brought up a good point to me, which I don't see happening because of the actor they have tied to it and because of its history in movies. But it would make a lot of sense to make Blade a Halloween special at this point. It has gone through so much nonsense to even think that movie is going to come out in September of 2024 to me seems baffling. But then they also have Deadpool. So right now they have 4 movies slated to come out in 2024. I do not anticipate that all 4 of those movies come out in 2024.
I have a feeling these Avengers movies are going to be pushed like 2027. Or
it wouldn't
late.
shock me. I mean, right now, Kang Dynasty is May of 25 and Secret Wars is May of 26. There will definitely be a movie that comes out between those two. I have a hard time believing that it's going to be Shang-Chi. That doesn't make much sense to me. It could be a Doctor Strange. But
well, that's what's
or Armor Wars is the other one too that's supposed to be that we know is happening.
Or that's what's rumored is. Rumored is Doctor Strange 3 would fit right in between there. Then the rumor coming out because then the rumor coming out today that Doctor Strange is not in Kang Dynasty.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That movie would kind of show where he is.
It's like the Ant-Man. Ant-Man wasn't in Infinity War, but he was in his own movie, which showed what he was doing, and then he was a big part of Endgame.
Right.
So yeah, that could it could very much be like that. I could totally see that happening for sure.
The only thing I can see Guardians being tied to is maybe Eternals, only because they were in outer space.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I was just thinking that earlier.
I think the Eternals conundrum is something they're really pondering. I don't know if what they're gonna do there. I think they would like to do another Eternals movie. But I don't, just based on the returns from that, both box office and critical and reception, I don't know if they even want to do another Eternals movie after that. I think, and we've talked about this before, I think the MCU as we know it ends after Secret Wars.
I think so too.
Feige leaves, and they might even give it a year or two to breathe. And they start fresh with X-Men and something else from there, because I think we're getting to that point where it needs a minute. Needs a minute. I mean, they're starting to do that now we've already talked about pushing Marvel's back, and there will probably be inevitably other movies that get pushed back too, but they're going to need to give it some time. And I think ultimately that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to get, these movies coming up in phase 5. We'll get, 4, 5, 6 movies come out in phase 6. It ends with Secret Wars and whatever year that is, 2026, 2027. And then I do think that ultimately Feige steps away and they put it on a hiatus for a minute. That's my prediction. But by the year 2027, who knows? I might be dead. So,
well, we'll be married and have kids or something.
That's true. Not to each other. We're not getting married to each other.
No,
but we are both getting married at some point. So
yes. So that'll be the only difference is you'll have a kid with you at the movie when X-Men comes out in like 2029. If they take a break.
I could. I'm excited to take my nephew to Toy Story 5. Granted, I don't think they need to make a Toy Story 5. I don't want any part of a Toy Story 5, but you bet your butt I will be there with my nephew.
I read that and I was like, I can hear Logan right now saying we don't need this, and I'm agreeing with him. We didn't even need Toy Story Forward. We didn't even need that.
4 didn't need 4. 4 was good. Didn't need it. Don't need 5. Eventually, you're going to ruin it, and you're going to water it down, and you're going to have a dud, and you're going to regret it. Don't be stupid, Disney.
But it's green lighted.
Oh, I know. It's going to make $1 billion. That's why they're doing it, because they can't do anything original. I love Disney. Love Disney. I have the freaking castle blueprint here. I have Disney pop figures and movies. Love Disney. I love Disney World. I love Disney movies. But they cannot do anything original right now to save their lives. Holy smokes. Did you see Strange World? Not good.
I waited.
Pixar seems to be giving up on original anymore. It's a mess.
Yeah.
All of it. All of it's a mess. Here I am. I'm just super negative today. What's up with me, Steve?
I've rubbed off on you too much. Like this is.
Let's talk about something fun, something happy, something good.
What is something happy?
I have no idea.
Stranger Things season 5 is going to film soon. That's a positive. The Walking Dead spinoff started filming, so that's a positive for me.
Illinois plays Minnesota tonight.
Why do they play at 8 o'clock? Why do they play at 8 o'clock at night?
It's 9 o'clock my time.
Like, I won't be able to stay awake long enough.
8 o'clock? Steve, try living in the East time zone.
That's not a positive, playing at 8 and 9 o'clock at night. That makes no sense to me.
Somebody has to. Somebody has to on that network. And unfortunately, Illinois is one of only a few teams that play in the Central time zone. Illinois, Northwestern, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa. That's it. Those are the only 5 teams that play that aren't in the East.
What is something happy? I finally watched Fast and Furious 9, if that means anything. I haven't watched it till now.
I haven't seen a single Fast and Furious movie, so you're ahead of me there. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure there's something. Quantumania. Stop me when I get there. Stop me when I get there.
Right about there for me.
Oh.
It's not here. It's like right there.
Okay. All right.
Because of Paul Rudd. I just can't.
Because of the wonderful things he does. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Because of Paul Rudd and Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors, phenomenal. They wasted him, though.
Fantastic. Yes. Wasted. Wasted introduction in a otherwise subpar Marvel movie. On my initial straight out of the theater ranking slash review, I want to let you know where it's at. Out of the 40 properties that they have released, I think there's 40. I have it currently 37th. That's probably a little too low, admittedly, but that just shows you my thoughts walking out of the theater. It might change. It'll go up. It's a little fluid, as I've already said. But I have it sandwiched between a couple of pretty bad Iron Man movies.
See, that's what I thought to myself. It's not as bad as Hulk.
No, I have it higher than Hulk.
It's not as bad as Thor: The Dark World.
I have it higher than that.
The one Iron Man movie that keeps rubbing off on me and getting better is Iron Man 3. I don't know why.
That's fair.
I used to rate that pretty low.
That's my 38th. I have it right one spot below this one.
Do you think it's better than Eternals? Do you think it's worse?
My opinion on Eternals still stands. I think Eternals was a really good movie, but I don't think it worked as an MCU movie. So I have Eternals ranked several spots higher than it.
Was it the worst Ant-Man movie?
Yes. By a significant margin.
Because I think you and I are the only people that like Ant-Man. I love the first Ant-Man.
I have on my list of 40, I have Ant-Man 17 and Ant-Man and the Wasp 19. So both are very clearly, well, they're both in the top half. This includes the TV, all the TV series. It includes the 2 shorts. It does not include What If because I don't count that as MCU proper, as I've said. But yeah, I have Ant-Man 1 is 17 and Ant-Man and the Wasp is 19. And this is 37. So it will not be the best MCU trilogy. That award still goes to Captain America, I think. I think so, yeah. Spider-Man's close. Spider-Man's close for sure.
Well, now we're about to get a 4th one, so it's going to be.
Yeah, but I think the trilogy is still pretty set. I think whatever they do will be different. But yeah, no, this is definitely lower on the trilogy count. I think it's still higher than the Iron Man trilogy for me because I have 2 of the 3 are much higher. But yeah,
What's embarrassing is I can't find mine, so that's embarrassing.
You need to get a letterboxed, Steve.
I have my Phase 4 rankings. That's about it.
Get yourself a letterboxed account. We can be friends. So you can put all your rankings in there. That's what I do. It's great. I love it. It's my favorite app. Letterboxd. letterboxd.com.
Social Film Discovery.
It's a place to be, Steve.
Oh ho!
Make yourself a list. You can review movies. You can give them stars, scores.
Oh, okay.
Place to be.
Because on my drive for Google, I can only find my Phase 4, but I know for a fact I had one.
You can find me, and you can go to my list, and you can see all of my lists that are there, but including the MCU ranking. My top 5 MCU ranking hasn't changed in a while. So the latest movie to one TV show and one movie cracked my top 10 in Phase 4. But nothing cracked the top 5. Cracked the top 5 since Endgame. So.
Oh, wait a minute. Dang it.
Dang it, Steve.
Don't worry, I'm signing up right now as we are on this.
Let's close this thing down.
What's my username?
I've said enough negative things about. I did not hate Ant-Man and the Wasp. I had a fun time at the movies. Jonathan Majors was fantastic. Paul Rudd made me laugh. I thought the Paul Rudd, Catherine Newton father-daughter relationship was great. I thought the de-aging technology on Michelle Pfeiffer when they were doing the flashbacks when she was stuck in the realm, I thought those looked really good. I loved the scene of Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Bill Murray on screen together. I thought that, just as a fan of movies, that was cool. I did love the Star Wars tie-ins. As an actor, I like William Jackson Harper. He was in the movie I don't know what his name was. He's Chidi from The Good Place. He's a person that I really like the idea of being Reed Richards. Obviously, that's not happening now. I like Darren Cross's MODOK. I loved the send off to him, naming him as an Avenger. Like there are things about this movie that I really did like, but on the whole, nope, not for me. Nope. I came home and Ant-Man and the Wasp was on FX, and I turned that on as a palate cleanser, and that tells you how bad a movie is if Ant-Man and the Wasp was my palate cleanser. Sorry, I'm negative. Hopefully, I'm much more positive in May when we go see Guardians of the Galaxy together. When does that movie come
out?
May 5th. What do you got going on May 5th, Steve?
Well,
got a wedding coming up anytime soon?
Not till June.
Oh, it's Cinco de Mayo. Well, duh. That's how we're going to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Perfect. It's a win-win for everybody.
May 5th, I have baseball practice.
Okay. Well, we'll have to see it another time then. I'm probably not going to drive over there on a Thursday, so we'll figure it out.
Well, baseball practice is 3:15 to 4:30.
No, not worried about it right now. We'll figure it out later. Tickets aren't even on sale yet. We got time. We got to let it breathe, just like the MCU has to let it breathe. Anything else Geek Corner related we need to talk about? Did you see Avatar? Is that a part of Geek Corner? The Logies are coming up soon. I got to finish the Logies. I don't know how many total movies you've seen from the year though. Black Adam did not do very well on the Logies, Steve.
I have not seen any other movie. Avatar.
Did you see Top Gun?
I have not seen.
Steve, do you watch movies, or do you just go to see Marvel movies?
I just go see Marvel movies, and I spend all my time yelling at 15, 16-year-old kids.
That's fair. You're a busy man. Well, the Logies will be coming out this weekend, so you can have a list of movies to watch. And the nice thing about being in 2023 is that like nearly all of these movies are accessible at home.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to wait for them to come out to theaters. So they'll be coming out soon. So that'll be available. I'll tweet that out when I have those done. Yeah, not a lot of Black Adam going to be mentioned on there. Not a lot of love for your boy Dwayne.
Well, he's probably out of the DC world.
Yeah, do you want to talk about DC while we have a couple minutes here?
Well, I want to make you laugh. Like I tell my basketball players, hey, they're freshmen. Hey, anything you guys ever need, you got to let me know. Like, blah, blah. I give that speech all the time. And I had a kid come up and say, I need help in this class. And here's my dumb self saying, sure, I'll help you. What class is it? He's in honors English. And I said, I've never taken an honors English class in my life. The book is called like Fahrenheit 451 or something that I've never heard of.
I remember.
And so that's what I've been doing, is figuring out what this is. And I'm like, wait a minute.
It's keeping you plenty busy, I'm sure.
I was like, we read Mice of Men. That's all I remember. Like, what?
Mice of Men.
Can I help you with that book? Like, I can help you with that.
We definitely read Fahrenheit 451 at some point. I don't remember when.
I don't remember
if it was in an honors class or not, but
I don't remember it to save my life at all.
I don't remember much about it. DC, what are your thoughts? Where do you stand?
It's a mess.
It's a mess. It hasn't even started yet.
James Gunn is a brilliant man. We already know this from his filming stuff. I don't understand getting rid of certain actors and actresses. Let me phrase this. I understand it. I get where they're coming from. But maybe this Flash movie will make sense. Seeing that trailer and how they're going to reset everything, maybe it'll make more sense then. But the route he's taking with this universe and multiverse has been teased and other things they could easily I don't know. Maybe because I like Henry Cavill, maybe because I like oh my god, who plays Batman?
Ben Affleck.
I don't mind him as Batman. But then you have this new Batman movies and others like it's a mess on its own.
Did you see the new Batman movie?
I have not watched it yet. No.
Steve, it is wonderful.
That's what I've heard.
It is the best thing to come out of DC Studios since The Dark Knight, probably. So here's the thing. Here's where I stand on this. I'm not like a big DC fanboy. I'm not necessarily a Marvel Comics fanboy. I've just really enjoyed the MCU because they've been, for the most part, good movies. DC, for the most part, has not been good movies. I think James Gunn is a very creative mind. So I do trust him to be able to put what he wants onto the screen, because he has a fairly good track record to this point of doing pretty well with comic book franchises. Granted, Guardians 2 wasn't my favorite, but Guardians 1 is still to this day one of my all-time favorite movies and my favorite MCU movie. The Suicide Squad movie that he did was a really good DC movie. I did not watch Peacemaker, but I've heard nothing but great things about that show. So he has a very good track record of doing comic book properties. So I have to trust him to an extent with what he wants to do. But I just think we as a society have gotten so far caught up in the world of the multiverse, and we just have to stop. We just have to stop interconnecting everything. Marvel has done it so well for so long, but now we're finally even seeing cracks in that. So maybe he thinks that he can take advantage of the cracks in Marvel by like doing it right. And if they do it right, that's fantastic. Great, good for them. They might be able to surpass the MCU 5-10 years down the road as be back on top, which they were as a comic book company, because like let's just be honest, Marvel or Batman and Superman were like the guys. They were the figures. I just the whole continuing to try to do this multiverse, but also like doing these other worlds on the side, which is a comic book thing. They didn't make that up for the movies. Like that is a thing that happens on the comic books. But I don't know that we need to keep tying everything together. As for the Henry Cavill thing, I feel sorry for the guy. He has been jerked around by DC and by Warner Brothers for the last 5 years, and that's not fair to him. I don't disagree. I don't think there's anything wrong with James Gunn and Peter Safran wanting to have a younger Superman. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But the way he has been treated by that studio, I do feel for the guy.
Right.
I don't know what the future is for him. He might still be involved. I know there's a movement out there for Warner Brothers to sell the Snyderverse to Netflix because Zack Snyder has a great relationship with Netflix now. So maybe there's some sort of future there. The Flash movie, like the fact that it's even coming out still tells me that there's something here. Because if it wasn't a good movie, with all the stuff going on with Ezra Miller, like they would have just shut that movie down, just like they did Batgirl. They saw Batgirl and they're like, this is bad. This is not going to do anything for anybody.
Right.
So the fact that they haven't done that for this movie kind of tells me they have something there. I'm excited for that movie to an extent. I haven't really been excited for a DC movie in a long time. So like that's saying a lot, I guess. Just because of what they're doing with it. I like that Affleck's in it. I like Keaton's in it. I don't know what they're going to do. We'll see if it works. Who knows? I mean, James Gunn laid out his plans, laid out his future, which I think was probably a mistake to lay out all of these things, this whole 10-year plan. Like, you should have learned. I mean, Marvel's done this shit before in the past, and like, not all this stuff happens, and then people get pissed off and you make promises you can't keep and whatever. We'll see. DC has not had nearly the track record that Marvel has had. But as I said, Marvel has some cracks right now. So if you're going to take advantage of it, now's the time. But I don't see it. I don't see it working. I don't have a ton of confidence in the whole thing. Granted, I like James Gunn, and I think I have to have some confidence in him, which I do. I just don't know if it works.
Maybe because I thought DC squandered some of these actors and actresses. I'm like, there is something there with them.
They did, but they also had issues. They had a lot more off-screen issues with their actors than Marvel did. I mean, Marvel's off-screen issues have been a contract dispute with Ed Norton and Terrence Howard like 20 years ago. And recently they've had a couple actresses that have been vocal about COVID. Like that's it. Like that's the extent of Marvel's off-screen issues with their talent. DC, Ezra Miller's a mess. The guy that played Cyborg has had a lot of issues with the company. There was Amber Heard, who was a very focal point of Aquaman, has been very much in the public limelight for not so good reasons the last couple of years. It's just different, and it's not so. Yes, I do feel bad for the way some of the actors have been, treated, and Henry Cavill, and I mean, I don't think we've seen the last of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I don't know what they'll do with her. It's possible we have, but I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I think she's a great Wonder Woman, honestly. The second movie wasn't very good, and I don't think that helped anything. But that first one was a damn good movie. The original Wonder Woman was a really good superhero movie.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it sucks that just one bad sequel can ruin everything like that. But James Gunn seems to have a plan, so you have to at least trust him to an extent. Maybe Warner is able to come to some agreement with Netflix and let them just kind of have the Snyderverse and have that going on. But it's the same thing that I said when we did the Thor podcast, and I brought up the YouTube channel that I follow that brought up the Hercules thing. How many Hercules does Disney want running around? How many Batmans do you want running around?
Right.
There's a musical theater actor by the name of Andrew Barth Feldman, who was an actor in Dear Evan Hansen on stage. He's been in some other things. He's going to be in a movie with Jennifer Lawrence coming out either this year or next year. Love the kid. Love watching him on Twitter, Instagram, all this stuff. He's a very talented musician and singer. And he has this viral video on Twitter that is, how many Batmen do we need? We got a lot of Batmen. Yep. It's overkill. It is overkill. The MCU has done so well about, there's one Iron Man. There has been one Thor. We've had two Hulks. We've had two Rhodey. But it's just been one. There's been one Iron Man, there's been one. Well, now I guess we're gonna have a second Captain America, but that's because 20 years later, the guy they just aged out of it.
Yep.
But in since the time Iron Man came out, we've now had 3 Batmen, and it looks like we're gonna have at least a 4th, because we were still in the Christian Bale Batman phase, and then we got Ben Affleck, and then we got Robert Pattinson. And whatever they do with this new franchise, you will have a 4th Batman. Now we're going to have a movie with Michael Keaton back as Batman. So that'll be at least 4 different actors that have portrayed Batman on screen since 2008. In that same amount of time, again, well, we technically had 3 Spider-Men, for what it's worth, but 1 Iron Man. It just...
That was before MCU became a thing.
No, Iron Man came out the same year as The Dark Knight, or right around the same time. The Dark Knight Rises came out the same year as the Avengers.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. 2008 was Iron Man. It was the same year as The Dark Knight. I'm almost positive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's been a long time.
Iron Man was 2008. I'm pretty sure The Dark Knight was also 2008. Oh, it just... Yeah, 2008. Same year. There you go. Knowledge. Boom. Let's wrap it up. Let's go home.
I did
3 hours till tip off.
I followed you on that website. I found you. Don't you worry about it.
Great. I'll look you up.
I got to figure that out now.
It's fun. Take a look. Check it out. Rate your movies. Put your scores on there. Let's do it. It's fun. Follow me on Letterboxd, people. It's a fun app.
Hey, if I can keep track of my rankings for
Coach
me.
Steve, I got you. I'm going to follow you. Follow me. Everything is all right. It's been real, Steve.
It's been real, but it hasn't been as real as how bad the Ant-Man movie was.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Or how bad the DC is. Besides Christian Bale, he was perfect.
Go watch the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. You will not regret it. It is a fantastic movie.
It's on my list to watch.
At least watch Top Gun and the Batman. If you don't watch anything else from 2022, just at least watch those 2 movies.
They're on my list. Top Gun's on Paramount Plus, which I don't have.
Yes. The Batman's on HBO Max. You can also rent them both. You can just pay $6 and rent them on Apple or on Amazon.
I'm going to complain about Disney again.
Okay.
How dare they raise my yearly Disney Plus subscription rate from $79.99, whatever it was, to $109.
That shit was cheap when it launched, and they did that intentionally. I mean, I agree. Everything is going to be it's all bonkers. I don't disagree.
Mine renews in March, and they just told me 2 days ago, and I'm like, oh, well, I think I might. May have to
Price
switch
you
over to the
pay.
Hulu. May have to switch over to the Hulu Disney bundle.
The bundle, Steve. Then you get ESPN Plus for free. Bundle it. Bundle your life.
But how dare they raise it to 109?
Bastards.
I've been a loyal customer since it launched.
Same.
And I've dedicated my life to watching those Marvel things. But yes. All right, well.
Wrap it up.
Now I'll wrap up the spoiler review of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Next MCU project coming out is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I'm excited for / not excited for at the same time because of Baby Rocket. I don't want to see Baby Rocket get hurt. That's about it. Everybody else is fine. But Logan, thanks for coming back for another Geek Corner. Everybody check out Logan's podcast at No One Asked Us. They're killing it in the YouTube game with Illinois.
We've pretty much shifted to just Illinois post-game shows right now because it's 2 times a week and it's a lot to try to do another full podcast when that's pretty much all we were going to talk about anyway was Illinois basketball. So, but yes, No One Asked Us pod. Post-game show tonight after the Minnesota game. They play again on Thursday. Do they play on Thursday this week? I think they also play on Thursday this week.
Is that Northwestern on Thursday?
Yeah, because tonight's the Minnesota game is the makeup from the COVID cancellation a couple weeks ago. So yeah, they play like 3 games in 6 days or something. So I do believe that they also play on Thursday. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And then once the basketball season's over, we'll shift back to weekly shows on there too. So from real, Steve, look forward to another one whenever we want to hop on here again. So,
yeah, when we get big updates and stuff is when
hopefully I have happier things to talk about.
Hopefully, but so we'll wrap up Geek Corner right now. Logan, thanks for being back.
Thanks,
check out all the other Geek Corner episodes. There's a playlist of all of them on YouTube. Whole playlist.
How many of these have we done?
A lot. It goes back to WandaVision. Like it goes back.
We've been doing this a while.
It goes back a little ways to WandaVision.
I love it. Wouldn't change it for the world.
Well, we will see you guys on the next Geek Corner.